Hey guys, so we're going to be looking at comparing functions and how we compare them when they're in different forms. So this first one, we're going to compare a table and an equation. So to compare a function written as an equation and another function represented by a table, you have to find the equation for the function and then the function in the table, and then you need to compare them. So, steps how to do this. Choose any 2 points and plug your slope plug into your slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, nothing different. Then you're going to find the y-intercept by solving for b, what we just did last week. Then you're going to substitute the slope and the y-intercept into the equation, y is equal to mx plus b. Again, you've done this all. This is now just taking it a little bit further and comparing everything. So, we're going to look at this problem, and I don't know how to say this gentleman's name, so I'm just going to call him Q. Q is choosing between buying books at the bookstore or buying online versions of the books for his tablet. The cost of y dollars of ordering books online for x books is y is equal to 6 95/100 x plus 1 50/100. The cost of buying the books at the bookstore is shown in the table. Which method of buying books is more expensive if Q wants to buy 6 books? So, if we do bookstore, and we know that, or then we have to do books online. And the books online is y is equal to 6.95 x plus $1.50. We know that it wants to see what's more expensive when we buy 6 books. So books is represented with x. So anywhere I see an x, I can plug in 6. Now pause it and see what you get. Alright, I'm plugging it into my calculator to save me time, so your video is not forever long. But if you solved it, you should get that 6 books is going to cost him $43.20. Alright, now look at the bookstore. This is in the table. So, you pick 2 points because that's what step 1 tells you to do. Then you always rewrite your points because it's easier to read like this. Alright, you're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I have 15 minus 7.5 over 2 minus 1. 15 minus 7.5 is, we're going to come down here. 15 minus 7.5 is 7.5. 2 minus 1 is obviously 1. So our slope is 7.5. So, bookstore, y is equal to, so far I have 7.5 x. I need to find my y-intercept though. So, step 2 tells me that I have to do it by solving for b. So, rewrite your equation, y is equal to 7.5 x plus b. Well, you need to pick any 2 points to use. I recommend using easy numbers, and I think that whole numbers are easier than decimals, so I'm going to use these numbers. I know that y is 15. So 15 is equal to 7.5 times 2 is x plus b. So 15 is equal to 7.5 times 2 is 15 plus b. Well, I know that in order to get rid of this 15, I have to subtract 15 from both sides. This is going to cancel out, and 15 minus 15 is 0. So your b is equal to 0, so you don't really have a b. So you can just leave it like that. But I still didn't answer how much it's going to cost me if I buy 6 books from the bookstore. So you come down here, do y is equal to 7.5 times 6. And if you worked that out, you should have gotten that y is equal to $45. So, where is it more expensive to buy books from? It's more expensive to buy books at the bookstore because it's $45. Alright, so next we're going to compare a table and a graph. When you're given a table and a graph, you need to compare the slopes. So we have to look at the slopes with this. Alright, so here, let's use our graph. Our slope, you need to find 2 points on your graph, and I notice that these are going up by maybe 20, 40. Looks like it's going up by 20s, and these are going over by 1s. So we know our slope is rise over run. So we have our equation y is equal to mx plus b, because we always got to put it in an equation. Y is equal to, our slope is, to get from here to here, we rise 20. So rise 20. And we run how much? Well, we only run actually 1. So we rise 20 and run 1. Our slope is 20x. And I see that goes through the origin. And so I know that my y-intercept is going to be 0. Alright, now, so I know that Brian's typing test, he can do 20 words per minute. 20 words per minute. So that's a lot of words each minute. Alright, well Morgan, we know from Morgan's, we have to find 2 points. We always rewrite our points. Sorry. Always rewrite your points. 2, 30 and 4, 60. We know y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 is going to be 60 minus 30, y2 minus y1, over x2, 4 minus x1 is 2. 60 minus 30 is 30. 4 minus 2 is 2. 30 divided by 2 is 15. So Morgan can write 15 words per minute. Now your question C says, which student types more words correctly per minute? Well, Morgan does 15 minutes per minute, but Brian does 20 words per minute. So who does more words per minute? Good, Brian does. Alright, we're on our last problem. Go to the next page, or back page, I mean. Mine's the next page. Alrighty. So when we're comparing a graph and a description, you need to write an equation for each and then compare the two. So we're going to look at all of this. Alright. Sorry, my computer's going slow. Alright, Jamal wants to buy a new game system that costs $200. He does not have enough money to buy it today, so he compares layaway plans at different stores. Plan A is shown on the graph. Store B requires an initial payment of $60. I'm pretty sure that's going to be important. And weekly payments of $20 until the balance is paid in full. So A says write an equation for A's. So we know that A is on the graph. So my equation is going to look something like y is equal to something x plus something. Well, this something is going to be my y-intercept. Where does it cross? Crosses right here, which is, these are going up by 20s again. So between 80 and 120 is 100. So plus 100. And then I see that I can do rise over run to determine my slope. I just got to figure out where I'm going to go to. So I want to go to here because that's the next intersection that it's at. I see that I'm going to go down 20. So my rise, I'm not going up. I'm actually going down. So it's going to be a negative 20. And I run 2 spaces. So I run 2. Negative 20 divided by 2 can be simplified to negative 10. So I know my slope is negative 10. Now, B, write an equation in slope-intercept form for B's layaway. Alright, let's talk about this. So B, it says you pay an initial payment of $60. Now, this is the balance owed. If I pay $60, 60 is not going to be your y-intercept because you already paid that. Think about how much you owe. You owe $200. You pay an initial value of $60, which means you really only owe $140 when you begin. So when you begin paying, you're actually going to start at $140. Alright, I know that it tells me I'm going to be paying $20 a week. When you pay $20, that's going to be a negative 20. Alright, so then it says sketch the graph on store B. So we need to sketch this graph. I have my y-intercept already graphed. I know I'm going to go down 20 over 1. Down 20 over 1, down 20 over 1. I'm just going to keep on going so I can have an accurate line. Alright, so it says, how can you use the graphs to tell you which plan requires a greater down payment? Well, greater down payment, the y-intercept is the balance owed at 0 weeks. For store A is less than store B. Forgot to label my stores. This is B, this is A. Alright, so the balance owed for store A right here is less than store B, which means if you owe less at the beginning, you paid more at the beginning, right? So store A requires a greater down payment than store B, which is they require $100 for a down payment. E says, how can you use the graphs to tell you which plan requires a greater weekly payment? How can you use the equations? Well, the slope is the rate of change for store B is greater, so store B requires a greater weekly payment. What that means is store B, you have to pay $20, whereas store A, you only have to pay $10 a week. So that's why store B requires a greater weekly payment. You can also see that the slope for B is steeper, which means it's going down faster, so you're paying more faster. And finally, which plan allows Jamal to pay for the game system faster and explain? Well, store B does, because if you look at it, the balance owed at store B is $0 after 7 weeks. After 7 weeks, whereas store A, it takes you 10 weeks to pay. Alright? Have a great day, and we will see y'all shortly. Bye.